We had a combined.
We are live. Yeah. What's that, Coach? What do you want to say, Coach?
We had a combined 5 sporting events between our 3 children today.
Whoa.
So I went from the Broncos game to my daughter's softball game right after. So.
Wait, you snuck in a child's event between the time that we just saw each other?
Yeah, I actually got 2 in today. I was at my son's flag football game this morning, and then I was at my daughter's softball game. Made like the very last pitch, but Dad of the Year award here, right?
Congratulations, that's impressive.
Yeah. What really was your final record? Did the softball team win?
Yeah, softball split, so I'm 1-1 with the 14-year-old daughter. My 7-year-old son split as well in flag football, and then my 9-year-old dominated. 3-2, big day for me.
Well, let's start with thanks everybody for watching Altitude After Dark. And in terms of the game today, Bo, can you take us through the interception in the end zone?
Drop back, threw it to the other team.
I mean, I don't hear any lies. I mean, what else do you want him to say? He dropped back, delivered the football to the chest of the opposing team. That's essentially what happened.
Yeah.
Well, does that just sum it up today, Coach?
It really does. It also sums up the fact that the question was asked by a very credible journalist. But it came about 2 questions after the same exact question had been asked. Just for the record.
I didn't catch that, by the way. But
wait, hold on. I wasn't there for the Bo press conference. I was in the locker room. So somebody already asked him about the pick.
That'd be correct.
Then DMac followed up. So the guy was probably pissed. Bo Nix was pissed that DMac decided to accentuate the interception by asking it again. Oh, I got it now.
Yeah,
I got it.
But in defense of me,
you know what though? I think DMac's going to just notably omit that part of the truth of the story for dramatic effect, because tomorrow I'm going to be listening to Altitude Sports Radio. I'm going to be listening to Noon to 3 show, and he's going to bring that up about 7 times.
Bo, can you take us through the interception in the end zone?
Drop back, threw it to the other team.
That's all I recall. I don't recall anything else. But Mike, you asked Bo a question, and Vic, we'll get to you with Sean Payton here in a second. And here's what Coach
that second quarter empty started becoming a bigger part of what you guys did. How comfortable do you feel operating out of empty to be able to see it and diagnose and make quick decisions?
Yeah, I thought that was one of our best plays. We got into empty and we were able to evaluate what they were doing. They were playing base to our personnel and had guys up on the ball more than DB, so we felt like we could space it out and get something going. And several of our key conversions for first downs came out of empty.
So that's something we saw that actually worked, Coach. There you go.
Yeah, I think we spend a lot of time evaluating the performances of these highly paid athletes, these very notable athletes. I think that we need to have some truth in journalism and evaluate ourselves as journalists. And I'd love to hear from a veteran, Vic Lombardi, just about the question that I asked versus the question that DMac asked, knowing the context of everything.
Well, here's the difference. DMac asked a question that was already asked, so it's going to put him on the bubble of anger. You asked a very esoteric question that required some sort of Pythagorean theorem outlook on what happened. But
by the way, the question I asked will be on SportsCenter, quoted in every single publication. It will literally watch, Mike. This is gonna be bananas. When it comes to the Broncos, that answer is going to be everywhere tomorrow.
So you just admitted that you went into it with the thought of wanting to go viral. Is that accurate?
I asked a direct question that led to a fun answer.
That had already been asked.
That had already been asked.
That had already been asked.
Yeah, but in my defense, I wasn't smart enough to hear it in the first place.
Hey, back to your question, Sanford. Back to your question about the empty, because we did see a lot of progression there. They had that 4th down play where he completed it to Josh Reynolds on the empty look.
Yep.
So, but you can't run empty all the time, man. I mean, it's great. It's great. But is that the only way he can read a defense right now, by running empty?
So just so I might not be on Sports Center with that question.
No, definitely not.
I'm going to be viral because of that question.
No.
It was a question that I could ask to prove to everybody in that media muggle room how smart I am, how much football I know. That's exactly why I asked it. And I also asked it because if you buy your Denver Gazette on Tuesday morning, I'm going to break down all of Bo Nix and empty from Oregon, which he was fantastic operating out of empty. When I coached against Bo Nix in 2022, I'm like, guys, it's every single snap of the game either starts in empty and you motion it back out so he can see man zone indicator, because who's running out with him? Is it a linebacker or is they just kick the corner out? Or it started in empty and they brought it back into the backfield. It's a really good way for a young player to get a look at the picture.
Why can you not do that consistently in the National Football League?
Well, I think you can. Now you can't do it every single play, but I think you can in terms of just getting a young quarterback in rhythm. The problem is that if you're operating out of empty, true spread empty, where a tight end is not a part of the blocking unit, it just really reduces your opportunities to run the football. Even if you obviously Bo Nix had, I think the longest actual designed run of the day was the quarterback draw from empty. That was fantastic. It was a great play call. I think there needs to be more of that. I think Sean Payton needs to channel some college offense and utilize the legs of Bo Nix. But you can't do it every play, Vic, because if you're playing in spread 3-by-2 empty, so 3 receivers to a side, 2 to the boundary, you don't have any type of versatility in your run game at all.
And therein lies the problem, because for the second straight game, Bo Nix leads the Broncos in rushing. And the fact that they cannot generate a run game, they can't get Javonte going. Hell, they brought in the kid, what's his name, Batty, in for one run, and that's it. And they can't get anybody going, man. It's hard to watch.
What was Javonte's final stat line? Was it like 7 carries for 17 yards?
11 carries, 17 yards, 1.5 per.
11 carries for 17 yards.
Terrible.
I love Javonte Williams. I love his story. I love that he's bouncing back from injury. But at what point do you have to look at it and say, this guy's just not a upper echelon running back?
Well, Sean Payton started his press conference saying, I don't know if we got the right guys for the right thing. And Vic, I have a question that Vic asked him in a second, so I'm not just trying to gloss me. But to your point, I think he was talking about Javonte.
And that starts with me. We got to start really looking at who we're asking to do what. And that was, it was frustrating because there were certain elements that went kind of according to plan field position wise, but our inability to score and convert third downs, ultimately hurt us. Any questions?
That was his first thing. My question's coming up, but go ahead, Mike. Go ahead. Mike.
I have a question, Coach. It's not the inability to score. It's the inability to move the ball. Mm-hmm. It's the inability to pose a threat. It's the inability to keep me awake. I mean, let's be honest here, guys.
It was a boring game, bro.
I mean, that was one of the most brutal watches I've had, and I've seen a lot of brutal football games, and I get it. We all have to be patient. I have preached patience with this kid, especially a quarterback. But outside of the reverse, the flicker 50-yarder, can you recall another play?
Yeah, I mean, I thought that today there was one real elite NFL type throw, and it was actually the dig throw to Cortland Sutton. That was a moment of growth for Bo Nix, but guys, that's one throw. Even, the flea flicker throw, if the corner, isn't turned around, that ball hung in the air forever, Vic. It really did. Now it was complete. Awesome. Good. Like throw it to the open guy and get it there. He did it. Awesome. But one thing that I know Sean Payton, because I've been a play caller, I've had young quarterbacks play, and it does become frustrating when you design particular throwing opportunities. And I can think about the Marvin Mims corner route that was wide open down the field, and Bo Nix overthrows it out of bounds by 4 yards, guys.
He threw that into West Arvada, man. That ball is still flying. I mean, it was not even catchable.
And if I hear one more analyst, Broncos, blog fan talk about, well, it was a 65-yard throw. Here's what arm talent is. It's not throwing it 65 yards. It's using the requisite touch and or drivenness of the ball and doing it repeatedly as an NFL quarterback. And that's still the thing that I have my questions with on Bo Nix. I do. I'm not saying that he's somebody that's worth throwing to the side. He's not. He's the future of this franchise right now. You've got to exercise patience, to your point, Vic. But throwing a ball 60 yards does not make arm talent. What makes arm talent is throwing to open guys with the appropriate throws and doing it in a repeatable fashion.
Well, here's what Vic had to say to Sean, Vic, about Sean.
Coach, how difficult is it keeping a rookie quarterback confident?
I think it depends on their personality, and I think he's got the right makeup and personality where, look, he's running around, he's competing. There's some pressures. There's a misprotection late in the game. Those are frustrating things that I said this a week ago. We need to be better around him. But I think this guy's been, he's been through it. It'd be different if he hadn't.
Coach, you talked about.
Okay. What does that mean?
Well, he's been through it because he's closer to my age than the average rookie. But and the one thing I do admire, and he said it, Cortland Sutton said it, Quinn Miners said it, all the offensive players, they all say it. They said he keeps competing. He won't quit. He keeps them unified. He's pushing. And you know what? Part of me is like, great, but don't you expect that? You can't run around with your head down. At some point, they do have to help him, though. At some point, a run game has to be there to support this kid, because if he's the leading rusher in every game, if this is going to continue, it's going to be a very long year. Somebody's going to be able to establish a run game.
Let me play this because I call this Sean Payton on a bunch of stuff, but he's going to address some of those things. So here's, and this will be, give us the diving board to leap off on a bunch of other things from the game. So
you're going to have growing pains with a rookie quarterback, but it's still tough to kind of go through it.
We got a mistake in the route too, so there's some dirty hands on that play. But it's a fair question.
Hey, Sean, why not do the onside kick there at the end?
Yeah, we spent a lot of time going through it. Look back and forth. We had plenty of time to discuss it. There was a player down. We felt like our odds. The long run on third down prior to them punting took about 6 seconds. We were hopeful to have 2 or 3 plays before we went to the ends. It was just weighing the odds versus recovering an onside kick or getting the ball back with 26 seconds. So we chose to kick off.
When you kicked and you made it 13-3, was there a thought there? Hey, just go for the touchdown because we might not get enough possessions.
No, I think time-wise, we felt like we were still in a good position. I mean, looking at the clock.
Coach, can you expand on when you say we got to be fair with who does what?
Yeah, it's just when you run a play and it has success and you're looking at the pieces. When you run a play and it doesn't have success, are we putting in our guys in the best position? We're rotating a lot of different personnel groups in and out. I don't know if that's helping us, quite honestly, and we just need to evaluate that closely. Evaluate what we're doing relative to our personnel.
Guys, there was a bunch of stuff in there, but maybe we can sort of start from the back and then work our way back up. Is he talking like, I just don't have the right guys? I'm running something here. I think it's fine. It should work, but I just don't have the dudes to do it. So I'm going to have to change what I'm doing because what I'm calling is fine, but these guys can't pull it off.
Yeah, well, I've had that same thing happen to me as a play caller, and you know what? You have to take a personal accountability. Let me ask you guys a question. 2 weeks in a row, Sean Payton in a post-game presser in a losing effort against 2 of the worst offenses that they're going to face all year in Seattle and in the Pittsburgh Steelers, games that didn't require you to actually score that many points. In 2 consecutive weeks, Vic, DMac, he said that we have to be better around him. Who do you think is person number 1 that has to be better around him?
Around Russ, around Bo Nix, you mean? Yeah. Around Bo Nix.
Who do you think is person number 1 that needs to be better than he has or
I think it's Javonte Williams.
It's his running backs or his offensive line. I don't know if there's one person or multiple people. His offensive line.
I think it's Sean Payton.
Really?
Absolutely. Guys, he's a 5-year, $90 million head coach. Okay. And that
was a trick fucking question there. That wasn't even fair.
But let's be honest, right? Like, just about the situation, the run game, it feels like an NFL equivalent of what I watched last night up at Canvas Stadium with CSU's run game. There's zero creativity. There's zero pre-snap motions. The only pre-snap motions that I see are short motions from a flanker receiver to get in position to block the safety. You watch Kyle Shanahan's offense. You watch Sean McVay's offense, even though it sucked today. You watch a lot of these offenses. It's changing the picture with the fly sweep action pre-snap in the National Football League. It's shift in motion. Kellen Moore over at the Philadelphia Eagles. Though, like, you have to change the picture. In the NFL, it's so damn hard to get 4 yards. So how can you mess with the eyes of the linebackers and their run fits? You've got to be able to do something creatively, and just calling outside zone, duo, and counter, which are different run schemes, in a stagnant picture. It's not good enough. It's not working. You got to help your rookie quarterback.
Listen, I don't think the Broncos, had they gotten the ball back with a little more time, I don't think it would have come back in regardless. So I think I'm going to make too much out of this than it needs to be. But when he explained why they decided not to go for the onside kick, am I the only one that's lost there? I don't know what he means. What was he saying there?
I think he was trying to say we're going to have enough time on the clock, but like, we're all sitting there and we were doing the math.
This is the guy that basically invented the surprise onside kick. He did it in the Super Bowl, for crying out loud. I mean, this is one you have to proclaim you're kicking it. I get it. But I mean, if there's ever a situation that screamed for onside kick, that was it. That was it.
I didn't understand it. I mean, how much time do they have? 18 seconds when they got the ball back, something like that. I mean, but that was pretty obvious. I mean, that's all they had. One timeout. There was like 1:54 to go. You're like, you're not going to have any time here, bud. And had the Bears, had the who the fuck we played today?
The Steelers.
Right?
The yellow towel, and there were a lot of them there. Yeah.
Had they got a first down, the game's over. I don't know. I don't know why you wouldn't take a chance. I didn't know what the hell was going on at the end of the first half, too. When they went for it on fourth down, they were going to punt it, and then they were going to go for it. But I'm not going to go for it. They're going to try and draw them off sides. Oh, no. They're actually going to try to throw there. And meanwhile, you're in field goal there. Kick the field goal.
Yeah. I mean, there's three decisions from a non-play calling perspective. I know I just went on the play calling, but the three decisions, the one that I thought was most egregious was you got Will Lutz, the guy's hitting 60+ yard field goals.
Yeah.
In camp. You're at altitude. You're in the second quarter before the weather rolled in. There is zero wind. It's a dry, warm evening at Mile High. Points are at a freaking premium, fellas.
Yep.
This is not going to be a high-scoring game. You come out of you're going to the halftime locker room with some points on the board, at least.
And it's 4th and 7. I've got to hear from the 39 in that situation. They trot the offense back on the field.
56-yard field goal.
They go for it. All right. Instead of taking the field goal, they go for it. And they throw a ball that's batted down at the line of scrimmage. If the ball had gotten to the intended target, it's short of the sticks. Right. Everything's short of the sticks. I mean, I don't understand the play call in that situation.
Afterwards in the locker room, we've talked to a bunch of guys. Quinn Miners, good dude, right? Good dude. But he's like, well, I'm kind of quiet. And we're like, you're a captain. Like, I'm trying to lead by example. Okay. And then Surtain, he's a captain. Well, he's quiet. I guess he's going to lead by example. Bo Nix is a robot. He's a captain. He's going to lead by Cortland Sutton. Cortland Sutton will at least talk, But I'm like, where is the leadership on this team? Who is going to hold anybody accountable, Vic?
Well, I think Sean Payton is the leader on this team. I think he's taken over that. I mean, that's, this is truly a coach's locker room. You have some locker rooms that are player locker rooms where, the coach comes in when he has to. But Cortland Sutton, I thought of all the people that spoke today in the locker room, and we've heard Cortland be angry before. We've heard him when he didn't want to talk to the media at all. We've heard him in many different frustrated beyond belief. But this dude is all too familiar with this situation. Yeah. How many different times is he going to start a season like this as a member of the Denver Broncos?
And the answer is like, well, what's different? And he was like, well, we get to work early and we work hard. And, Vic, hey, listen, good for him. He's just trying to be a good dude. But come on, Vic, how many times have we heard that over the years, year after year? This is why this team's better than that team. We work hard. Like,
Okay, so let me ask you guys this, because I said this from the get-go this season. I said, do not base the season on wins and losses. Try not to, at least. We all want to win. We all
correct.
Do. But try to base it on the development of your young quarterback and watch him pick it up a notch and watch that development progress. And that's where you will be as a Bronco fan.
Right.
I didn't see anything from week 1 to week 2.
I agree. Mike?
Yeah, it was more. I think he was actually more inaccurate with more open targets today. I do.
Was it a regression?
Or I would say this based off of the final drive of the game against Seattle, where Bo Nix was operating in a 2-minute offense and, no huddle and looked really good and ran had the 23-yard run up the sideline and then the touchdown run like that. Those were positives to take away. At the time, we put the caveat on it that it was more of a prevent type defense where they have to, allow for the offense of Denver to earn it, matriculate the ball and exhaust the time. But yeah, I mean, I just thought there were some open guys today, fellas. I just he didn't throw it. I didn't think he had a good day throwing the football, to be very candid.
What else stood out to you guys about today? Any other
I like, by the way, DMac DMac's in charge of the comments that go on the page here. Yeah. I like the way DMac just posted. DMac is a troll.
I posted it. It was me.
I absolutely love it. I love you for it. I love you. Yeah. Some jackwagon writes it and you post it.
There it is.
Talking about the Gen Z troll definition or your actual physical appearance, DMac? What do you think they're trying to
fuck
get at?
You, Mike. That is what a dick thing to say.
It's a question.
Yeah, okay. All right, Tall. Hey, how many jobs you got? Who won't you work for? He's got another radio show up there in Greeley, KFK, my guy, Hull.
Oh yeah. You know what? I am exactly what Vic called me. Mike Sanford is who he thought he was. He's a media whore. You know why?
Whore!
You want to know why? Because guess what I am right now, fellas? I'm unemployed. Okay, I'm unemployed. Just so you guys know, I don't have these cush contracts like you guys have. So I gotta hustle for it.
Hey, go
ahead.
Were you surprised that they went after Patrick Surtain the way they did? He had a couple passes that could have gone if not for that holding penalty on one. They were not afraid of going after PS2 today.
All right, this is going to feed the narrative that DMac and even myself at times I do feel. What is PS2 is your most highly prized player on your team doing for the success of your team? Right. I learned a stat after this game. There's one statistical category that PS2 is leading the entire National Football League in. Do you guys have any idea?
PIs, pass interference?
It's penalties accepted against a player.
Yes. Yeah.
4 leads the National Football League.
Yeah, that doesn't listen, man. See, every time I get into this conversation, it sounds like I hate Pat Surtain. I don't hate Patrick Surtain. But the truth is that if you have time, a good pass will beat good coverage or great coverage or something like that. I think, and Surtain even said that earlier this week, and that's true. The PIs, listen, to think that these quarterbacks are afraid of throwing at Surtain is just wrong. It's wrong. They may be afraid of throwing at Travis Hunter in college. Mm-hmm. You could convince me about that one, but they're not afraid of throwing at Surtain. They do it every week. And listen, man, they got lucky too because there was a deep shot that Fields took to help me. I forget who got it, but it was a holding, and that was on Surtain. There's a PI on Surtain. I don't know. It sounds like I'm dogging on Surtain. I'm not. It's just that it doesn't have as big of impact as everybody would think. Wasn't he? I think he was out there on special teams too.
He was running as gunner on punt.
How about
that? You got penalized.
And he got a penalty on that. You got a penalty on that.
I did not understand. Was he a gunner? Yeah. Or was he on? No, he's on the hold up. He was playing corner on punt return.
Yeah, it's like blocking. Listen, here's what's going on. Sean Payton has to figure out who the fuck is going to be able to play football for him, guys. I mean, that's the deal. That is the deal. He wants to do things that he doesn't have the players for. So now what?
DMac, you have used 4 F-bombs.
Oh, all right. I'm sorry. I'm a little.
No, it's okay. I'm just keeping note of who keeps what here.
Yeah. That's the Catholic school education, man. The foul beating. You got to pull out the ruler and ask DMac to hold his fist out and start beating.
Didn't a couple CU players, or one in specific, use an F-bomb toward a CSU player after the game the other night? I mean, that was pretty intense afterwards. And I want to ask you guys, I mean, obviously that was much needed for CU.
Massively needed.
What kind of leash does this give the Buffs when you go to your in-state rival and beat them down the way they did?
I think it was a really good win. I do. I think it was the most complete performance of Coach Prime's 2-year, 10-year and some change tenure here in Colorado. I do. I think it was all 3 phases, whether there was some lack of discipline. Some people are going to cite the end of game decision making to continue to throw the football when the game is still in the balance. But I think overall it was the best performance by the CU defense since Coach Prime's been here. It was suffocating. I mean, CSU's got major questions after this game. I think the offense was smart, didn't turn the football over at a rapid rate. I thought it was a good game for the Buffs. And so you go on to Baylor, which everybody's going to say is an easy win. It's not going to be an easy win, fellas.
No, I agree.
No,
that's going to be a very, very telling game towards bowl eligibility. This is going to be
Baylor worked Air Force, which not many teams just destroy Air Force like that. And nobody knows how to handle a win worse than the CU Buffaloes. They're brutal, man. I'm like, hey, good game and way to go. But my God, it was just one thing after another.
I get it. You're gonna, their side of the story is, well, look at all that trash talk before the game. And it doesn't make that right either. It doesn't make either right. But I mean, at what point can we just talk about the damn game?
I don't know.
Why does it always have to be another layer, some other drama, something somebody said, somebody offended me here? Just play the damn game. You won the game. Get off the field, shake hands, and just enjoy the win. I'm so tired of it. It's just stupid.
I mean, Shadur would not shake Fowler Nicolosi's hand. By the way, that interview that got all the...
But then they posted it. I mean, they posted it as if it's a badge of honor. Like, check it out. Our quarterback's not going to shake his hand. We're going to show the world.
Right.
That's not honorable.
That's the thing that's so unique about the CU program. And you mentioned it there, Vic, is that they posted, it's their own content from whatever YouTube channel, well-off media. Because I was on the sideline of this game, and my takeaway being on the sideline after, you have all your opinions based off of everything that's available out there about CU and about the culture. I was super impressed. I'm not going to lie. I was on the sideline of the game and I was impressed. But when you're not seeing some of these snippets of audio of handshakes and exchanges, I think it's overexposure. I do. That kind of stuff does happen in football games. Mm-hmm. Like there are little moments after a game that happen. They just don't find the worldwide interweb immediately thereafter posted by your own team. That's the thing that is so different.
But by the way, how about the answer to why didn't you take a knee at the end of the game? And the point of the game is to score points. No. The point of the game is to win. It's scoring points is a way to win. But at the end, I don't know. I don't know what to say. They make it so hard to root for them. They were not gracious in victory. CSU's got their own problems. I mean,
I was going to say, having said all that, the pressure pendulum has now moved over to CSU, and that program, you better figure out a way to win a couple of these games that, like Wyoming, they haven't beaten in a while. You better figure out how to win those games in your own conference, or things could get really asunder real quickly.
Yeah, when you have 41,000 people, a record crowd, not just at Canvas Stadium, but in the history of Fort Collins football, and you lay an egg like you did offensively, it was boring. It felt like watching the Denver Broncos offensively, fellas. I mean, it really did. It was like, when is this thing going to turn? Is there anything that you're waiting for? Like, at least the Broncos had a sweet trick play out of Wildcat today that created an explosive moment. You're like, oh, there might be something here. There was not a moment like that in the CSU offensive game plan. There was nothing. And I think that the biggest game of Jay Norvell's tenure is coming up this Saturday, and it sounds like a dumb game that we'll all write off. It's going to be UTEP. And UTEP lost to Southern Utah, FCS Southern Utah. Ouch. And if that UTEP team shows up and beats the CSU Rams after the blown opportunity in front of 41,000 people, I think it's pretty hot, pretty spicy up there in Fort Collins.
The Broncos travel now to Tampa, and it looks like Tampa is on the paper, not papered, and they look good. They look real good as they beat Detroit in Detroit. That's a hell of a win.
Great win.
The Jets got a W today. So the Broncos aren't even coming home, and people don't know that. They're going to a resort in West Virginia, Greenbrier, which I understand has wonderful golf. And so they're going to stay out there. Fellas, when they come back from the East Coast, what's their record going to be, Vic?
I think they'll be 1-3. I think they're capable of winning that second game on the road, if not 0-4. I don't think they're beating Tampa. That's just not going to happen.
Mike?
0-4. I really do.
Yeah.
I thought this was going to be the one that they'd get. I did. And I know how good Pittsburgh is on defense, but I knew Pittsburgh's offense was maligned. It's not, they're just not good. They're not explosive. They don't have great, consistently elite quarterback play. I mean, it's still an unknown of who is their quarterback.
Look at the bright side. It's not like the rest of the AFC West won today.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, they did? Oh, shit, they did. Yeah, you're right.
Guys, it's not like the team that you're expecting to call two of your five or six wins went to Baltimore.
That's just crazy.
Oh, by the way, did you catch that? Did you catch the Chargers can now run the ball? Did you guys notice that? They can now
they might run it better than anybody in the history of football at this stage if they keep with this clip. J.K. Dobbins looks like Walter Payton in 1985.
Oh, let me give you a little scuttlebutt in the Broncos locker room with some of the Muggles afterwards. It is noted, and you're going to hear a vibe on this. Look at what the Saints are doing since they've ditched Sean Payton's offense for the first time. You're going to hear a lot of chatter about that, too. Any credence to that? You guys want to weigh in on that before we split?
Do you see who's calling the plays in New Orleans now? It's Clint Kubiak. It's Clint Kubiak, who knows the system himself pretty well. And what they've done there with Derek Carr, eyeliner, hey, man, it's impressive. It's impressive. What Baker Mayfield has done, these recycled quarterbacks that have found life elsewhere, good on them because they're rolling right now.
Yeah. The term coming out of the New Orleans Saints camp as a franchise, not just head coach Dennis Allen, the whole franchise was talking about, and they used the term modernize the offense. Modernize.
Okay, so if they're modernizing the offense and Sean Payton is Sean Payton, then what do the Broncos have?
A long road to develop this young quarterback, hopefully. I don't know what the hell you call it right now because somebody asked me this today. I went and had dinner after the game with some cousins of mine, and they said, well, what's the difference between what you've seen the last 2 weeks and the last few years? I go, that's the problem. That's the problem. That's where a Bronco fan, it's one thing to develop a young quarterback. It's another thing to develop a young quarterback after an 8-year valley of hell. Because it's been 8 years. And now on top of that, what? I got to wait longer now? This is going to be hard. It's going to test your patience. It's going to be incredibly difficult for Bronco fans who are now a full decade of boring football.
How did it go today?
Oh, can you take us through the interception in the end zone?
Drop back, threw it to the other team.
Broncos 0-2. All right. Vic in the morning, right?
That's right.
What's the question? I wish that Bo Nix would have looked at you after asking the question and just said, DMac, what's the question?
Yeah.
It would have been great.
I didn't stutter.
I wish you had had you banned from press conferences.
I've given it my best shot. Hey, by the way, on something, CSU, understand when you have a big game. I have no idea when your next one's going to come. Understand that media is going to want to come. Stop denying press credentials for people that just want to cover the stupid game. I mean, it just wasn't one or two people, by the way. It was
strange that I got one.
No, it was.
I got 7 of them. I had plenty to spare.
You know what? Let's go see. Hey, when CSU's playing Nevada and it's friends and family, we'll invite everybody up there.
I didn't have any issues, Coach. I don't know what the hell he's talking about.
They asked me, hey, do you have any of your friends that want to come that aren't don't hostel animosity towards our program? I said,
they
no.
Gave me a luxury suite. I don't know what the problem is.
By the way, Mike is leaving this show, and he's got 9 shows to do about Boise football after this one tonight.
Hey, you won't miss anything because DMac's got 6 more podcasts between now and my morning show.
And the great thing is that Vic has 3 tea times between that we're on this show. So everything's good.
All right, we'll see everybody later. Bye. Have a great